What is your message on TikTok?
It's okay to be weird. Like, if you're gonna be weird, be confident about it, man.
Right.
Like, it's all right. Like, you don't have to be out here just trying to be picture perfect. It's like, what a boring life, man.
And welcome back to Podcast on Wheels. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and today in studio, we've got a real treat for you. We've got Erin, also known as Dopahanas, on TikTok. Welcome to the studio, Erin.
Hi, Brian.
Thank you so much for being here. So we met at a local place, and we got to know each other. You got to know Courtney and I a little bit. We invited you over to the show. But tell us a little bit about like your story as far as some of the things you shared with us, like your TikTok page or your family stuff or bingo, tell us about it.
Okay, where should we start? I don't know which subject I should start on first.
Here, let's do this. Let's look at what was it that got you started with TikTok?
All right, so I had a funny story. I told everybody I was going rogue on all my social medias, and so I was like, I can't post this, and they're gonna know I'm weak. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that. So TikTok had just started, and no one local that I knew at all was on there. So I was like, post, overnight, so many people just over it, and then the next day it's 7,000 people, and that was when TikTok started. And then I started to go through all the algorithm changes, and I didn't have a niche, and I was just random, and so it slowly grew. But I had a lot of followers that were solid because of that. So it wasn't just a bunch of random people. It just was like click, 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 and it's like, I don't even know this chick. You know what I mean? Like, what is she?
Right.
But there's a lot of people with like very devoted followers, and I don't know how I feel about that term influencer, because I don't know what I'm influencing.
Right.
Hopefully not anything bad.
Right.
But content creator. So yeah, that's okay.
I gotcha.
That's all right.
You kind of became a content creator by default because you just were posting over here so you could post something and nobody would really see it.
Yeah.
But
then it got
surprise.
Then it got local, and I was like, damn, I did not want that to happen.
I hear you.
First time it happens when I was working at Best Buy, and there was this lady. She was sweet as a bud, but she was just like, I was in appliances, because you could sit down in appliances and not do anything. You just look like you do stuff on the computer at Best Buy. So just know if anybody's in the appliance section, usually they just want to sit down. And so I was just chilling, doing my work. And this lady comes by, and I'm on the computer like this, and I don't really look at her too much. And she's like, oh my God, you look just like this girl of TikTok. And I honestly, without hesitation, I was like, you sure that's not me? Because I didn't think about it too much. And then she was like, oh my God, it is you. I got to text my daughter. And I'm just like, this is very strange. Yeah. This is foreign to me. I'm not, I'm a humble person. I'm still a human. So like when people look at screens and they see other people behind a screen, there is this like dehumanized moment where that person is just that. It's like you don't think about that person like doing random stuff, like, I don't know, picking a scab or something. I don't know. Like you don't think about them doing that, or like, oh, what the heck, the GPS, you see them as like what you see them. You see them in their room, but you don't ever see the fact they got a giant pile of laundry over there. So like, it is a separation. And it's funny how social media has made so many people antisocial. You ever think about that?
I have.
Yeah.
We have more tech and more social media, but less social interaction, right?
People are scared to actually be themselves.
Let's say, just to give people a little bit about who you are, and something I learned about you today was, as you were coming over here, I sent a text in the group text to get here, and you called me. Tell me why you called me instead of texting.
Texting is difficult.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. For one, words are hard. I always tell people that, and they think it's funny, but it's the truth. Words are hard. If you think about that, like, first of all, texting is such a surface, like, way of communication. It's so limited. We're already limited by words, okay? All we're trying to do is get our feelings to be communicated and the pictures in our minds to be communicated towards other people. Now we have to set up all these adjectives and nouns in the correct order and in the right tone, and your body language has to match, and you have to make sure that it's in the correct part of the conversation. And that's what your brain is all doing on top of reading patterns. And I'm a very all over the place. Like, you can say like the word okay, and it can be translated on text message, can be translated a million different okays. Be like, okay, it's okay. Like,
Right.
there's so many different ways.
Right.
So, yeah, I would much rather call. First of all, it's faster. Okay. I was born before cell phones,
Right.
Before cell phones were really available to the public.
Right.
There's giant cell phones, I remember car phones. Do you remember car phones?
I had one that had a bag.
Man, you had never touched a car phone. That's expensive. I knew exactly. You never touched a car phone. My stepdad had one in his business card. It was an Intrepid, a new one.
Nice.
Smelled like a new car.
Nice.
He worked for Philips. But anyway, that's on as you can see, I'll trickle on.
Yeah.
It, but
Yeah. Well, that's one reason that you have so many followers. How many followers do you have on TikTok?
Like,
almost 1 million,
let me
right?
check.
800,000, I think.
I did, but then, a lot of people are like, they didn't re-download it. So if you notice, a lot of people are like, I lost followers. I'm like, no, you didn't, dude. They lost everybody. You're not the only one.
Right. Right.
I have 7,901.3. Wait, sorry. Did I say that right?
You got 700,000, 900.
Read that. I'm not doing it.
791,000 followers. 791,000 followers. So you're at 800,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
What do you do on TikTok? What do you tell people about?
Everything, my random thoughts of the day.
Right.
So stuff that crosses my brain, or like things that are funny to me. And sometimes I think the things that I say aren't necessarily as funny as people think they are, because I just laugh. And then they laugh.
Right.
And then things are addictive. Laughing can be contagious, you know? I'm also a full believer, like, putting your dirt on the table just a little bit. I like to put my dirt on the table. And when I say that, I mean, like, the quirky, authentic, like, obviously I'm going to make a mistake in my words, like trip over things or whatever. So people feel more comfortable. Is it raining outside?
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen. But I'm happy I got here before the rain. That's
too.
nice. But yeah, if you put a little bit of your flaw on the table, that people feel more comfortable and be like, okay, I'm a real person too.
Right.
So I think the relatableness, the authenticity is really probably where, that's what I want. I don't like to follow people who are like perfect in a way, like who appear to be perfect, because exactly. Because it's really just an appearance, and perfection is all subjective. Like it's just a subjective term.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I've already learned about you, and I want to make sure that the listeners are hearing, is that you've already explained that words are hard, and lining them up and doing it grammatically correct and being understood, and then a body language to match. But you're taking TikTok and you're not so concerned with a script, or you're concerned with how you're making people feel. Same way.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Same way.
I don't ever have a script. There might be something that I like say out loud. I'm like, dang, I messed that up. But that was something that I wanted to say. And then I'll be like, okay, that's what I said. And then I'll probably re-record it and screw it up again, but it'll sound all right. And I'll get my point across.
Right.
So I remember somebody was just like, so do you just sit there in front of a camera and just like write down what you're going to say, or, like stuff like that, and just chop it? I'm like, no, usually it's probably like one big long video, and I just chop it up into like pieces, because I'll have ADHD moments where I'll just pause and I'm like, the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah. So of course I'm gonna chop that part out. Sometimes I don't.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
Well, I saw one of your videos where you talked about, because this, if I could say one, actually made me laugh to where I had to sit my phone down.
Yeah.
There was one where you may remember this, maybe not, because you've done a few. There was one about animal noises. Okay. Can you visit that for me just for a moment?
Why I can do that? It's because I have autism.
Okay.
You want to know? It's fun fact. People with autism are like way more likely, and you can look that up. It was like statistics, but way more likely to have perfect pitch.
Yeah.
Because like our brains pick up, all of our sensories are just like heightened, right? So our brains can pick up more better, and also we grow up learning patterns of human to learn how to be that. So so that mimicking sounds is so easy for me. You're looking like you want me to.
No, I mean you can if
you
you want.
want
No.
me to do a sound because that's really loud on the mic.
Well,
The whistle. People tripping out over that bird whistle, and I'm like, they're like, that's fake.
do
No,
it.
it's not.
Do
Okay,
it when you
let's
got
see.
it. When you got it.
Hold on, wait, I gotta get the. Doesn't that sound like a bird?
It's authentic.
Look, it trips the birds out. I do it. No, I do it at Petco when I go there just for the shits and giggles. I want to get it on record so fucking bad, but I try to make sure people aren't around. So like, what the fuck is going on? But
Right.
like, I'll walk up and I'll just be like, and all the birds just shut up. I swear to God, the parakeets and shit, they just shut up, and then it'll be this dead silence. They're all looking around for the predator, and then one will go, and then they all start going. They're like, "All right, we're good. I don't see it. We're good."
Well,
it messes them up.
Yeah. Well, that's the way I wanted to kind of, as you introduce. You have autism. You have this. You have that. You've told me some things and taught me some things today. So, we've talked a little bit about you, your TikTok, kind of how that came about. Let's talk more about some of the things that you deal with on a personal level.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and autism are like neck and neck. Like that's their thing. It kind of comes with the premium package. Also, it comes with like POTS, which is like, I'm gonna butcher it. It's postural ortho something tricardia.
Mm-hmm.
Has to do with like your blood and your circulation and shit. Then I got like Raynaud's syndrome, which is where I don't like retain my heat in my hands and my feet. Excuse me.
Right.
And other stuff like that. But also with EDS, my which is a connective tissue disorder, which I probably need to go through that before I say this, but
okay.
So you have, God, there's so much that has to do with this puzzle, and I'm trying to figure out which piece I should say first. Because so your brain has like all these components, and one is called the amygdala, which is your fight, flight, freeze. There's a couple other F's they've added, but I don't know.
Right.
It's your survival guy in your brain, the one that's like, when it's prime time, when you're in a forest with a bear, that's when that should be used. The problem is most people, because it pumps that adrenaline and cortisol in your system, makes you hyper vigilant, makes you extremely aware of what's happening, but also your heart's like beating like crazy. And it's and you don't even know why. A lot of people have way overactive amygdalas and they don't have any idea what's going on, and they're stressed and all these other things, and their body's failing and they don't know what's happening. But your thoughts should go from your hippocampus, which is your sensory guy. That's only his job. He has no memory. He's not in control of anything. He just grabs stuff. So he grabs your sound, your taste, your smell, all those. We also have 8 senses, by the way, not 5. So you look that up on your record. But the amygdala part. So the hippocampus brings that information to the thalamus, and the thalamus decides, where does this go? So you have a thought. You picked up a pattern on the outside. Where do I know this from? Oh, I know this from here, and I'm going to send this to this direction. You can either go to the cortex, which is where your thoughts, like your manager in your brain, this manager office, where things should go. Or it can send it directly to the amygdala. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. I know this. Now I'm on edge. I don't know why. Now, all right. So with autism and EDS, already my whole thing is haywire, right? I also have CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've been diagnosed with that since like, I don't even know. I think I was like 11 or 10 or something. I don't know. It was really young when I started the psych stuff.
Right.
Which they put me on a whole bunch of meds, and that just crashed my life down for a long time.
Right.
But my connective tissue, even in my brain, that also affects like everything. So like every single thing that also like barometric pressure right now. A lot of people are affected with their joints and things like that. They don't really understand why. And it's because when the air pressure is high, it keeps your body together. And when the air pressure lowers, when the storm's happening, it kind of loosens that a little bit, and just the slightest little change can press on a nerve, and now you have all this pain and you don't know why. So, yeah, so that's a problem with keeping my body together. My body's already loosely put together because my connective tissue is like spider webs. It's like, it should look like a solid thing. Okay, so your connective tissue should look like this, right? I don't know if the camera can see that.
You got it. That's a good shot.
But mine looks like this.
Wow.
And that's every piece of connective tissue in my body, everywhere. Even my fingernails, every single thing, my sclera, and my eyes, like every portion of my body, my organs internally, and then I have the MYH11, really rare gene mutation. Not that Ehlers-Danlos isn't rare enough, but but I have that one, which is specifically the connective tissue around my aorta, which can cause aneurysms and all that good jazz. But and then I have a cancer mutation called BAP1. Ohio State University did a study on my family and like 800 other families, I think, at this point.
Okay.
Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people. You think that that's a lot of people, but it's really not.
No.
And,
not to do a study on.
Yeah, it's not to do a study.
Maybe to feed or something.
Like an eyelash in my freaking eye. I grow eyelashes in my eye, like in the inner corners due to Ehlers-Danlos for some stupid reason. And then my tear ducts are larger because that connective tissue is weaker. My skin stretches almost 4 centimeters, but my skin doesn't look like it stretches over 4 centimeters, which I'm lucky about that.
Right.
Oh, hypermobility EDS, we look younger. we do. We look younger, longer. Not all types of EDS, but the hypermobility kind.
Well,
and I can bend all over the place. Like, you want to see a cool party track? I'm not supposed to do this, but every now and again it doesn't hurt.
Okay.
Like, that shouldn't happen.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So trigger warning on that one. I remember my geneticist for the first time because, what part of the test you're supposed to go like this, right? So she's like, can you touch your thumb to your forearm? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I do it completely backwards. And she's like, whoa, well, that works too.
You're a winner.
And look, my whole life I'm used to like going in doctor's offices and they're like, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're just a weird subject. And then, I go to the geneticists, which have like, they deal with EDS patients all day. They even have the zebras all over their office because that's like the symbol or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, great. A place where they're going to know me, except I'm not going to be a weird patient. I go in there. She's like fucking fascinated with my body. Just like I am the reason why she didn't quit school. Like, she grabs my pinky and she's looking at her assistant or whatever. She's like, oh my God, even the little joints. And I'm like, yeah, because look, it's just like all over the place. Like, it's just whatever. Yeah. She's fascinated with me. I was like, dang, really thought I was going to have not this experience.
Right.
But, I'm longer than I am taller.
Okay.
Like way longer. There's so much, EDS is so complicated.
Yeah.
So I can pop joints in and out of place, which is not unregular.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing that I think.
Irregular, geez, excuse me.
Words.
They're hard, man. They're hard.
They suck. So and most of the people that know me, they know that I'm not an excuse guy. I'm not a guy who's going to sit back and say, oh, you got all this stuff, because that's not who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a light. You shine for so many different things. You do. And it's like, that's why I wanted you here. So tell us your approach.
My approach to it.
Like, and
then, totally. I could drown in my diagnoses. I see it all the time on the EDS Reddit, or, there's a couple other subreddits that people just, they're miserable. Mm-hmm. Granted, heck yeah. For sure. I went through that. I went through the miserableness, but I woke up and I was like, okay, either I can just live my life with the sads, or I can just be like, screw it and just live my life because it's already a fact. Mm-hmm. It's just good to have the diagnoses because it gives you answers and you're like, okay, I'm not as weird. Like proprioception. Mm-hmm. I have really piss poor proprioception. I do. It's horrible. Like, it's my brain body measurement in space. My whole life everybody's like, oh, you're so clumsy, Erin. And I'd be like, I swear to God, I don't mean to do this.
Right.
But I didn't know that it's not me. It's not a carelessness. It's not a, it's nothing that has to do with me and my everyday thinking. It's my actual body brain med. I have no control over that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's stuff like that where I'm like, dude, give yourself a freaking break, but don't become victim to it. It just is what it is. You're built different. I have perks to this, okay? I can contort my body in ways no one can. So I can fit through things and hide and curl up like, Stitch grabs his feet and like rolls into a ball. That's how,
Yeah.
there are perks to this. And also like I'm less likely to break bones. So like when I hike, I like to run on rocks and do like, pretty primal stuff,
Yeah.
And I like to climb things, and I'm a great climber. I got wide feet and like wide hands, and I can, I'm a little primate. Okay, I a little feral thing over there in the woods, but yeah, there are perks. I mean, you just kind of just like autism, right? I thought my whole life was a freaking struggle, but then I realized that my pattern recognition is flawless.
Yeah.
Like, and so when I get to like any job where it required like a repetitiveness of muscle memory or things like that, I am so quick and I'm good at it. Or untangling things, I am flawless at that. Or just recognizing or being like, Erin, look at this. All I need to do is like a bloodhound. You're like drug sniffer dog. It's like I just need to know what I'm working with and I can go find it in like 2 seconds.
Right.
So there are perks to it also because like I have synesthesias, right? That's outside psychedelics. So I have synesthesias, and those are when, like, think of your senses. This is not actually how it is, but think of your senses like harp strings or something like that. And then you take those some of those strings, like they crossfire. So you ever heard of feeling colors? Yeah, that's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And there's, there's other types of synesthesia. I just thought it was normal. I thought everybody did this. I thought art girls, I thought art girls just knew colors. I thought you just knew the personality of the color. It was just a normal thing. Or, or like how 7 is aquamarine and it's February. And that makes no sense to anybody, but it makes sense to me. But and so, but also that's a cool thing because it also helps me with my art. I have something called what is it? It's my tactile one. It's touch to, I have a lot of tactile synesthesias, but it's touch to sight. So I can look at something, like say I'm digging in my purse for something. If I go and visually look for it, not going to find it because my brain's so focused on the visual pattern recognition amongst my hands. So if I don't look at it, I can find that baby in 2 seconds. Like if you drop something in the trench of your car, not only I'm the best for it, best tool, because I can conform my hand into like this jelly type of thing, and then I can reach down there. I know exactly what we're looking for. So then I bring it out, and everybody's so happy. Erin saved the day. There are perks, but you can drown in it all day if you want to. It's not going to change anything. The EDS diagnosis is also very important because on your paperwork, see, we require way more medicine than the average person. So when I go to the hospital. And if I require pain medicine of any kind and it doesn't work, they're like, junkie, addict, like, you know what I mean? And so my whole life, I'm like, no, I swear to God, I'm not on drugs.
Right.
Like, in some part of my life, I was on drugs, but not too bad. And, or anesthesia. You have to like dose me heavy with anesthesia because I will wake up and I'll fight it too, just for shits and giggles because I think it's funny. And also lidocaine. Right through me.
Yeah.
I had a evil Dr. Malone. Never go to him. He's spawn of
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Screw you, Dr. Malone. You're evil, man. But he, I kept telling him, I was like, you need to flood me with lidocaine. Because he had to cut out 2 styes and cauterize them underneath my eyelid. I know. Ouch, ouch, right? I felt it all. So I honestly, my best revenge in that moment was I'm not a pain crier, okay? I'm an emotional crier. I don't cry because of pain, okay?
Yeah.
My body was involuntarily like tears, and I'm holding it back so much. When you're crying, your mucus is just in there.
Yeah.
It's building up. Look, all this stuff. So he like the last one when he started to cauterize it, he touched it with the little hot knife.
Yeah.
I went It's like a freaking just what do they call those? The things that come out of the
Like a volcano?
no, not the volcano.
Oh.
When the thing spits out of the ground water.
The geyser?
Yeah,
There you go.
one, that's the one. It was like a geyser all over his face.
Nice.
And I was for a second, I was like,
So he remembers you too.
I hope he does for the rest of his life.
That's a good story.
He deserved worse.
That's a good story.
But yeah, it's just certain stuff like that, and I'm like, this is why it's good to have on your paperwork. Also, you're you're the 1 in 1,000. Something's not gonna work.
Right. Right. And that's
It's always a 1 in a million. Oh, there's no risk here. That's why my tonsillectomy and adenoidectomy like failed horribly. I had to get an emergency surgery, which wasn't like now they use a cold knife to cut your tonsils off and stuff. They used to cauterize it. But so they did that. So safe and so easy. Everything's gonna be fine. 1 in a million chance. It's a day surgery.
Yeah.
Right? No, it was not. It was not okay.
yeah.
I did not heal because by the 4th week you're supposed to be like on solid foods,
Right.
3rd week you're getting there.
Yeah.
4th week I was in Crystal Hospital with a stainless steel mixing bowl, just pouring blood from my mouth.
Oh wow.
And then I had to go in for emergency surgery. I had to get everything cauterized up there too. Yeah. I also had blood vessels break in my nose, probably due to EDS. They said it might have been a side effect of Tamiflu at the time, but I'm pretty sure it had to do with my EDS.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us, you also shared a story about somebody, your mom, and
yes.
kind of what that went. So tell us your approach to that.
Cool. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll take a break. Yeah. Yeah.
I
You got one?
think I got my Mary Jane in there if y'all are into that. That is
She
what
does,
it is. You slick people.
Of course it is.
Which strain is that?
I don't know. That's why I don't even. Just reach. You got it, Courtney. Did you get it? Oh. Perfect. So you're keeping track. I was going to say, just mark it. Do what? Right. And plus, when I put it through the software to pull the dead time.
This is sour diesel, I think, in our in-house.
Cool.
Our in-houses are way better, honestly.
Yeah.
Those and the fucked ones. These guys came in the other day, and they brought like flour, and I mean this flour was never impressed with shop weed.
Right.
To be real.
Yeah.
Their prices are high though, but I'm hoping my owner will fucking.
Nice. Nice. That stuff's so all over the board.
Yeah.
We're doing weed, right? But really strictly to that.
Oh wait, so you quit weed and then started CBD? Yeah, weed withdrawal does that. Like some crazy vivid dreams. I gotta quit every year for my psychiatrist 'cause she takes a drug test because she got audited during COVID.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else could do the telemedicine, telehealth and shit. Fucked it all up for us. But we used to be able to smoke weed. Now I gotta quit once a year.
Yeah.
Hellacious. This past year, I had some crazy dreams. So I can't fucking wait to smoke.
That's cool.
Oh shit.
Oh, you're good. He gets hit about every show 5 times. You're going to have to. All right. Is the AC off?
Yeah.
Is it off for audio? Okay. All right. You recording? All right. Whenever you're ready, you can start with. And when you talk about your mom, you tell it however you want to tell it. If you want to talk about the holistic approach and the education, this has been one of the most educational podcasts because for everything, here's the thing that impresses me. I'm going to stop right here and tell you. Most people, male, female, I don't care, that I meet that have problems,
Yeah.
sit in them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't. That's why.
I think my whole life I've just gone through so many things. I mean, I know a lot of people have, but
Yeah.
Erin's got one hell of a story.
Yeah.
Okay. And I talk to my therapist about this all the time, and other people have told me this is you don't give yourself credit.
Yeah.
What you've been through. And I'm like, when I was in it, I was just in it.
Right.
That's my mechanism for surviving my whole life through
Right.
crazy incidences.
But some people quit.
Some people do quit. I've tried to quit so many times. That's why I was in and out of psychs my whole adolescence. I grew up in psychs, like in and out of psychs. I was actually institutionalized to the point because I wanted to be in it more than I wanted to be in regular life, because everything, you were safe from yourself, you were safe from everyone else, you had timed meals. Meals ain't bad in the psych ward. I ain't gonna lie, because they want you to, they don't, they care about, getting your mental health somewhat care. That's a hard word to even say, because man, sometimes they just don't care at all, and they put you on a regimen of meds that makes you insane. You know what they do, like strict protocol when you go into the psych, is they rip you off all your meds, and then they observe you for 3 days, go crazy because you ripped off all your meds, and they go, oh, that's what's wrong with you, here's some Seroquel and some like Lexapro or something, or Celexa. Usually Seroquel and Celexa are usually like top favorites, as far as starting up. But I've just been in it my whole life. I've never really taken a moment and just being like, hey, yeah, this is, my life. And I don't know if I'm probably not describing that well.
You're doing a great job because you've been through it, and there's no way anybody else could explain it. But tell us your mom story and y'all's approach to that. Tell us about that.
So my mom got diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. It's this really, really aggressive form of breast cancer. You can jump from stage 1 to 4 in like a week. Scary stuff. And there was something happened, and the person that was supposed to take care of her couldn't. And so I didn't know anything about cancer. I'd heard my whole life, somebody got cancer, whatever, they go through chemo and radiation. I had no idea how intricate it was. And, I go pick up my mom due to this unfortunate circumstance of, and now I have all this fall in my lap at one time, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Stayed up for like 3 days on Vyvanse. Like, I slept some, but I just remember very little sleep in those days. I feel like I napped a lot, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, but I stayed up for so long doing research. I got connected with this place called Realm of Caring in Colorado, and they told me about this CBD tincture, Charlotte's Web. It's very expensive, but it's very potent. And there was one place in town at the time that had it, grassroots something, and I would get it. It was like $200 something, but I was working at Mellow Mushroom, so I had the
there you go.
Heck yeah, I had a paycheck. And I was consistently working as much as I could, but I also saved money up and stuff like that. But I would get her these tinctures, and I because I was like, if I can't do anything on the pharmaceutical side, because I had meds like this table. About that, and they were all lined up. I had like little flashcards and shit. Like I was trying, man, it was so much stuff. I could do outside medicine. I could do plant medicines, and I gave my mom the CBD tincture, and I gave her turkey tail mushrooms. Okay. Turkey tail mushrooms, they eat cancer. Like, it's incredible. They take it over. Your body doesn't like to also live, around, like when you have CBD in your system, all those cannabinoids, it doesn't like that environment, so it doesn't thrive in it. But you know what it does thrive in? A sugar environment. Cancer loves sugar. Yeah, it does. Loves a glucose environment for sure. But yeah, and watermelons. They have lycopenes in them, and that's there's a lot of just other melons too. Melon is wonderful for you. If you're ever severely dehydrated, eat melon. It's better than drinking water when you're severely dehydrated. Drink water, but it's slower through your system, so it absorbs slower. So giving my mom, and they cut into her halfway through her chemo treatments so they could do a lumpectomy. And she was going through like some of the hardest chemo. There was one I remember, it was called the Red Devil chemo, and it was bright red. Yeah, that shit was nothing to play with. And so they cut into her, no cancer. Swear to God, it was insane. Yeah, like, and both her oncologists, real shocked. Yeah, like they were in disbelief, and real cool. I also had to push for Marinol,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I'm like 22, you know, I'm
Right.
in doctor's office, and my mom, she can't take opiates because she'll throw up.
Yeah.
She get real sick,
Yeah.
real bad. And so, you know, she couldn't take a lot of things. And I'm like trying to push for them to get Marinol because that's, you know, the synthetic version that they actually do have legally here.
All right.
Doctor did not want to give it to me. And I was tenacious that day.
Right.
Right. I was being a pissant, which is a pissant.
Yeah.
It's
gotcha.
Cajun for pissant.
I got you.
But yeah, it was a miracle. And this is why I started working for CBD stores and companies, because I saw it work.
Yeah.
I saw it. I saw it with the magic that can happen. Also just with plant medicine in general. I also gave her a lot of like teas from the Asian market.
Mm-hmm.
Do not remember. I remember one was artichoke tea.
Right.
It tasted like chocolate. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It was very odd. You should try it. And tell me it don't taste like a Tootsie Roll. It does. But yeah, that's why I got it, because I saw it work. I take like our gummies from our shop.
Yeah.
Like I take those
Yeah.
all the time for
Right.
my joints.
Right.
The ones with CBG in them.
Mm-hmm.
CBG is actually, they call it the mother of all cannabinoids because it's the precursor.
Okay.
It's a precursor to it all, but it's great for pain and inflammation, and it works. My
Right.
dad takes them. My stepdad takes them. He's actually getting knee surgery because of them, because he was like, I want to make this feeling permanent. Because nothing, and like, you know, they give him Mobic and, you know, Celebrex and stuff. It's not touching any of his pain.
Right.
Now he's going to get it because that works. And it's so crazy because we look at that stuff and we're so trained to think that anything outside of pharmaceuticals is not a powerful thing, or that it's just placebo, or it sort of works or whatever. Nah, man.
Mhm.
There's some very powerful things. This is why we have pharmaceuticals to begin with. In 1910,
I think people forget that, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
people forget, where did it come from originally, right?
right? Exactly. Like Valium comes from valerian root. It's a synthetic, powerful. They make it more potent. They just make it synthetic and they try to
Right.
make it more potent. But 1910, that's when the Flexner report or whatever came out, which is when the American Medical Association started using pharmaceuticals and you know, synthesizing everything. Before then, it was strictly natural medicine that they were working with, you know? And those are powerful things. And it's also not good because in a way that everybody has this loose access to this. You know, it's not educated on anything. Oh, this is a good supplement for you. I see the benefits online. I'm going to take this. They do this. They only got like 5 different supplements, and those cannot interact, you know? Or like something as like simple as like Damiana leaf. You can't take that with like birth control. It'll cancel it out. And you get pregnant and you wonder why. It just shit doesn't work. So, and then there's like other stuff, like lots of things interact with blood pressure medication, also because they can be used as blood pressure medication.
Right.
And certain things like that. So, yeah, these are powerful things, and they're not to be, you know, taken lightly, but do your research as much as you can, but don't think that they're not as powerful as these pharmaceutical drugs, you know? Speaking of drugs, did you want to go into that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Psychedelics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Teach us.
So, all right. Maybe I should go over the neurology a little bit of the brain, just a tad more.
Yeah.
So you have something called a default mode network. This is what has been over time. Your brain has learned how to human, right?
Yep.
So we don't do this and we do this and we don't think that, because that's never going to be a thing. And, it's everything. It's all your conditioning, every single portion of it. So it's kind of like the governor in your brain. He just makes sure shit works right, and you don't step out of line too much. And so when you do mushrooms, right, psychedelic mushrooms, which is not, I want to put this on the table, is not the shop, the stuff they sell in shops and stuff. That is not psychedelic. That is actually a Amanita muscaria proprietary blend.
There you go.
And in my opinion, they're probably not harvesting that much Amanita muscaria for that to be,
Yeah.
as in abundance as it is. So, because I don't, Amanita muscaria is not technically a psychedelic. It's a hallucinogen. It's a psychotropic. It's not a psychedelic, and it's toxic in high doses. You don't never know what these research chemicals are anyway.
Right.
It's not psilocybin. It's not a psilocybe cubensis, which is real magic mushrooms. And there's other ones like pancyans and where am I? Pancyans and gnats, which are now natalis or natalis or something. I'm more familiar with like the cubensis, but psilocybin, it is amazing. What it does when it goes into your gut, which your gut is a whole different. That's your second brain.
Mhm.
That's where like 95% of your serotonin comes from. It also has its own endocrine system and nervous system, and it has a lot to do with your mood and how you feel. Your emotions are regulated through your gut. But anyway, so it goes into your gut and it converts itself into something called psilocin. So you go from psilocybin to psilocin. What the psilocin does is it goes into, basically imagine it like a room with these big machines, and those produce your serotonin. And it's an agonist of your serotonin receptor. So basically it shimmies them up and makes them work better.
Okay.
And starts like flooding you with good serotonin, which serotonin is like some miracle, amazing thing in our brain, because DMT does the same thing. And look what happens. You go and transcend to somewhere else because the serotonin is working better. And what SSRIs do, like antidepressants, and what they do is they put a drain stopper on your serotonin that you're already naturally producing. They put a drain stopper from it absorbing so fast. They're trying to build it up so things don't fall out too quick. But a lot of people don't produce enough serotonin.
Right.
And for many reasons, but it just happens. And you're not gonna get, it's a gamble if it's even gonna work. And antidepressants are a shit show. They're given to way more people than need them. A lot of people, actually, if you're going to go on a pharmaceutical side, a lot of people don't, like, they have mood disorders. They don't have depression. So if you give them SSRI, they're going to manic because it's too much. It's like serotonin syndrome. It's not good. So, but anyway, they lock in to your serotonin receptors and they shimmy them up. It's almost like your brain was meant for it, though. Just like cannabis, we have endocannabinoid receptors. Why? That's no accident.
Right.
In breast milk,
Yeah.
there's cannabinoids in breast milk. Our bodies create that. It goes to the baby that also has those cannabinoid receptors. And that's no mistake.
Right.
That means that evolutionary, speaking, that would mean that we've done this for a long time and consumed some portion. That's not a mistake, man.
Right.
It's not everything that's alive has those. So, dogs do.
They do?
Yeah, that's why dogs can get high.
Okay. I didn't know dogs could get high.
Well, that's why they have to have some type of cannabinoid receptors for dogs to have CBD, and that's a very common thing to give dogs.
Oh, we did have a dog with a ACL injury.
Yeah.
And at that point, she was still fine to move around, but they gave us some CBD oil, I think, to put on her food, right? Would that be right? Okay, I do remember that. We ordered it and got it shipped from the whatever, and we just sprinkled it on the food. And
CBD oil is, like I told you, I give my mom the tincture, but you don't want to give an animal tinctures because it's got alcohol in it.
Okay.
So they're not going to want that, for one.
Yeah.
But putting it on, we make dog treats at work for him. My mom's dog takes them.
I got you.
And he's got like Cushing's syndrome and stuff, and he's doing great.
Yeah.
His old ass. Yeah, he's doing great, my baby.
That's awesome. Well, tell us you had, so here's what we've done. We've covered who is Erin, who's Dopahonest. We've covered a TikTok. We've been up with that. You've grown it organically. You're still making a ton of videos. You're making a ton of people laugh. You showed us a different side of you today that I haven't seen on TikTok. You're very intelligent.
Thank you.
And you get a lot of things that people don't get.
I try.
Well,
I wouldn't say I think maybe that's just my life. Maybe I've just had this natural curiosity on like.
I think it's a gift. No, I think it's a gift. I think it's who you are.
Tissue. I believe that as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's you. I don't know if it's the Cajun part or what, but
authenticity. Remember?
it is.
Hey, but another thing psilocybin does, or psilocin, right? It cuts significant blood flow to the amygdala. It's harder for your brain to go into survival mode.
Yeah.
You might cry on mushrooms, but it's very difficult for people to actually get angry on mushrooms and freak out like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might wig out and cry or something, but to be like anger, rage mode, very, very rare circumstances. The only time you would probably find that is family history of schizophrenia.
Right.
If you have
something revealed because.
Oftentimes.
And that's why you did. I do want to make sure we say this right now, okay?
Yeah.
Because you did, as we were talking before the show, you said, please find somebody that can teach you, show you, coach you. Let's not just go try to find.
Not everybody's ready to meet that shaman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Not at all.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Right.
I remember a long time ago when I was a rookie. You know, I was a baby tripper is what I called it. I wanted I was just so excited. I wanted everybody. I was like, I wish everybody could feel this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And my buddy who was pretty experienced, you know, compared to me, he was like, no, you don't. Unfortunately, not everybody's ready.
Right.
And it touched my heart because it made me sad, but it also made me feel like, okay, like this is something more, you know, that not everybody is at that point.
You're right.
You know, and I also tell people this, it works with what you got, you know? So if you're a surface level person who doesn't really have a lot of depth, which is fine. It's not to say you're bad or mean or, you know, that's just you. There's a lot of surface level people that just don't go in depth in life and they just slide, you know, they just ice skate through life and then they die. And then, you know, whatever. They had a whole life, just surface level shit. It's just going to work with your surface level shit. It's probably going to give you some good visuals. Maybe it'll show you like some geometric patterns or those are cool.
Yeah.
Or fractals. Those are, but you know, it still works with what you got. So if you're a deep person, the more knowledge that you have, better it is. So that's why it's also better to do when you're older. You know, I did a lot of LSD and stuff like that. I did a lot of like party stuff when I was young. I used to work festivals and things.
Right.
And raves. But I only did and I did such a teeny tiny amount one night. I was at a party and this dude had this was like his personal after he had just sold all his stuff. And I took a little, I just felt the nice body euphoric. Like I just felt like jelly. It was beautiful. Everything is all right. But I wasn't tripping. I'm so happy I wasn't too, because when I did them in my mid-20s, I was like, man, I have so much more to work with.
Right.
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 There's so much more knowledge that I have obtained and maturity and just the way that I can view things and respect those things. And I see people, I hear stories about people that are just so young doing these things and under no guidance, have no idea what's happening, what they're playing with. Because, dude, you don't respect it, it will show you. And I know that sounds frou-frou, and I'm a super big skeptic. So, I wanted to make sure nothing was BS. So I was like, let me just test out some things in the psychedelic world,
Right.
I didn't have any guidance. I had no scale.
Okay.
So I wasn't weighing my mushrooms, which is a gamble because of the same size can weigh totally different. Of course, night and day. This one could double this in weight. So yeah, you never know. And also they all have their own level of psilocybin when they're born, when they fruit. And they all have their own individual DNA separate than each other. So it's like they're like brothers and sisters, which I think is funny. But they're they all have their own DNA. So it's really a gamble, even if you do weigh them out, but you have more of a chance of being a little bit more accurate in what to expect. How hard,
Right.
But sometimes it'll grab you by the ass. You just never know. There's these little things called aborts. They call them aborts. They're basically this, like, it's this weird phenomenon when you have a yield of them, and you'll have some tall buddies, and then you'll have these little itty bitty buddies that don't grow.
Yeah.
And they just stay short, but they're fucking compacted. They're just packed full of psilocybin. They're just blue as fuck. And those will get you. So, hey, but I was also, so I don't know. I kind of just like learned how to like gauge the psychedelic, like being in that,
Right. Right.
Then I started to integrate myself in public, and man, you never know how hard you're tripping until you enter public. That is another level. I sort of ask anybody who does the mushroom. Like, but yeah, I don't recommend any of that.
Right.
Don't ever do what I did.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
Because I have had some moments in those times that scared the piss out of me.
Right.
Just for the simple fact that I was overdoing it, or I was doing it in not the right set and setting. I mean, I don't know if you know who Timothy Leary was. You know Timothy? Okay.
Yeah.
Turn on, tune in, drop out, right?
Yep.
So, him and Ram Dass, who was Richard Albert. Okay. Righteous. Do you know about Ram Dass? You know who Ram Dass
I heard, but
okay, right. You look into him.
yeah.
He's a guru in his own.
All right.
But before he was Ram Dass, because he went to India, he was Richard Albert, who him and Timothy Leary were, psychologists and, social scientists and at Harvard. And they were studying the social effects and just effects of LSD. And they created set and setting, which is your mindset and the setting around you. Mushrooms are not a party drug. Whatever. If you think they are, good luck, man. Not gonna happen. Then you're gonna blame it like it's the problem,
Right.
But no, it's you. It's
It
you.
always is.
Yeah, for the most part. A lot of times it is.
always is.
Yeah, and so you do them at a party or around people you don't know, or just, you could even be at the house with like 4 people and like, no, it's just too many,
Right.
too many humans.
Right.
Like if I trip, it's around one person or myself. If it's by myself, I will do these things called closed-eyed tripping. That's what I really wanted to dip the pool in, because that's what they do at like Johns Hopkins University and stuff.
Right.
And like all those psilocybin therapy clinics. I was trying to mimic what they did as much as I could at the house just to see.
Right.
Johns Hopkins came out with a playlist, which is super intense, and you better be ready for it if you're going to trip on that, because it takes you through a journey, through your entire trip. But laying there with your eyes closed on a high dose of mushrooms, that's not for the weak.
Right.
Like that takes, it's not scary necessarily if you don't let it be.
Right.
It's all in your mind.
Right.
You have all the power to be like, okay,
Yeah.
You don't scare me. It's like
Yeah.
something pop. And it's not like things are gonna just go But if something were to scare you, you'd be like, ooh,
Yeah.
And like it's not something to be scared of. They're always there to help you, never hurt you. But the people that aren't familiar with all of these things,
Right.
they'll walk into it and ruin themselves, and that's not what I would like. So no, not everybody should do psychedelics, and not everybody's ready.
Well, I've had conversations with people that were looking at maybe taking a trip, like a friend of ours, Mike Zeller, has the weekends, and he does those, and it's like,
I need to connect with
yeah, definitely, we need to connect you guys. But I had a guy that I know very well who's been through, let's just say everybody's been through their own stuff. But I talked to him and I said, would you be interested? And he said, I don't know that I really want to let go of the pain from that.
Yeah.
But he accepted it. And so when somebody accepts it and they're convicted and they believe that,
Yeah.
I'm good with it, right?
Yeah.
And not everybody's my assignment. I have to remind myself of that. I can't help everybody.
Yeah, I know.
right? But teach me something here. All right. So you've got this knowledge, you've got this experience. All right. You've got some tattoos.
Yeah.
Tell me about this tattoo on this arm.
This one?
Yeah.
Trust your struggle.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Because you gotta trust whatever you're going through. I was 18 when I got
Okay.
that. But like just like all my tattoos. But I haven't
Okay.
got a tattoo in years.
Okay.
But I actually filled this one in. It was a tattoo expo. Dude had been tattooing for 3 months. He
Nice.
didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he screwed it up. So then I was like, man, So I took it and I filled it in, and it's not bad. I mean, it's not terrible. It's a fleur de lis.
of
Everyone
course it
has
is.
it. Of course it is.
Of course it is. I think I got one too
Do
somewhere.
you?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you do have one. Oh yeah. Hell
Let's see. I lived in New Orleans, and I was in
yeah.
Louisville at the time, and Louisville
Okay.
has the fleur de lis on every street
Oh
sign.
yeah, you
So-
go to anybody's mama's house, like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
My mom's house is full of them.
Yeah.
And it forever will be. Like your mailbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's but something. Sorry, what was the question?
No, I was just talking about tattoos.
Oh, tattoos. Yeah,
And-
I mean, trusting your struggle, trusting whatever you're going through is gonna bring you to somewhere. You
Yeah.
know.
I didn't know how old the tattoo was, but that's cool.
Girl.
That's cool. It wasn't that long ago. 18 wasn't that long ago.
No, no, not at all.
It wasn't that long ago.
No,
So
totally not.
So as we kind of get towards you're good. Go ahead. As we get towards the back end of this show and go through some things here, I want you to take us back to some of the moments as you were building your TikTok, growing your TikTok unexpectedly, organically, just happened. And then kind of bring us up to, okay, you've got 800,000 followers. These people, sometimes they're concerned. You were able to raise some money for bingo. You were able to do some good things. But, like, tell us about that journey with TikTok. And then, like, what would you encourage people to do if they follow you? Like, this is how to interact with Erin, you know?
Okay,
So, and take your time. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out.
All right, so what would people expect from me?
Well, like, you started the TikTok, you had that journey, right? And then,
Like how
somebody
it all
wants to-
kind of happened?
yeah, and people communicate. Like, if somebody follows you on TikTok,
Yeah.
all right, and they send you a message, like, you're the type of person, you don't have a management company managing an 800,000 follower TikTok account.
Never have.
You're doing it. And I don't think people understand what that demand is like, because you want to answer everything, right?
Dude, yes. And that's the thing is like, okay, say I did have somebody with my social, it's not gonna be like me.
Yeah.
Authentically, like
Right.
making typos,
Right.
cool stuff, and like saying stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And like, oh, let me add on to that. But and I think that's why I had my platform. Like before
It is.
bingo, before I found my dog,
Yeah.
I had like 500,000 followers. So it was like, but these people, like they knew I was real. And that's why I feel like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because like I was telling you earlier, I've grown with a lot of creators and now
Yeah.
influencers.
Right. Right.
And I've seen what it's done to people. You know, I started with everybody else, you know,
Yeah.
all the big ones, you know,
Yeah.
and we're all friends on there.
Yeah.
And some of them, like, heck yeah, like go for it.
Right.
But I've seen what it does to
Right.
people. And honestly, it's almost inevitable for it to happen. You know, for people, for something like this to get to people in a way, because this is your life. This is the
Right.
world that you live in. You're not present. You're never present. Once stuff gets to a certain point, you're not present. That's why I hopped off,
Yeah.
because I was like, whoa, hey, too much.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't go on this little yoga journey that I was going on with all this like mayhem and demands and questions. And I want to, and you know, all the good like parts of it.
Yeah.
There's tons of good stuff. I
It
want
is.
to reply to those people
It is.
more,
Yeah.
but I can't.
I know.
And it sucks. And I'm like,
But that's why, Erin, that's why when I met you,
Yeah.
I had no idea you were Dopahanas or you were any, you know,
yeah, I didn't let anybody know.
course not. But it's like, okay, the second or third time we talk, I'm like, okay. And I feel like part of my gift is I see things or I meet people and I'm like, hey, there's more to this story here. Like there's other people that I met that work with you. I haven't asked them any questions.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's okay. And if they see
That's
this,
interesting.
sometimes,
Yeah,
sometimes it's according to his mood. And well, it's his gut health. You know, it's according to what he ate that
Yeah,
day and
it's
his
just-
mindset.
That was gonna kill me. I told you.
But let's
I
go.
love him. He's just as neurospicy as me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's like a little brother. But
I
he's
got
smaller.
you. I got you. But here's one thing that I wanted to ask you about, because I'm kind of seeing like
Oh.
you didn't get you said a certain maturity level to have certain experiences. So you're at 800,000 followers with TikTok and it's overwhelming. But I see, here's where I'm going to be me for a second.
Go
Okay.
for it. Always.
Like I'm looking at it going,
What is she gonna do?
You need no more people need to hear you.
Oh, I didn't know. Like, I need to talk about this stuff, right?
Well,
Or
I think we need to figure out, like, there's so much more, and I feel like I can see your heart, and I see your light, and I
Yeah.
see what you want to accomplish, and it's just you're a giver.
Mm.
You are.
Yeah.
And that's what I want people to see, because you're funny as whatever word you would want to put in there on TikTok, but there's
Funny.
yeah, but there's a lot to you. But how do you balance that? Help me out here.
Like my.
Is it an autism gift?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about the multifaceted, like
Yes.
all over?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. It's a gift.
100%. Yeah. Because kind of like I kind of told you earlier,
Yeah.
we learn how to human, and it sounds alien, but it's the truth. Like
Yeah.
you learn, like autistic kids have a way harder, difficult time just being in normal because
Yeah.
the world is not built for us.
Yeah.
But so, God, Erin, where's your brain? Hold on. I go really fast at over processes.
That's cool.
So I jump ahead a lot of times.
I'm
but
sorry. I cannot.
no, sorry.
I can't follow that though. Mine's slow.
Yeah. Speed up, dude. What are you doing now?
My bad. That's my gift.
We go down rabbit holes
Yeah.
like crazy, man.
Yeah.
So you try your whole life to figure out what's the meaning, what's the
Yeah.
purpose, why
Yeah.
am I doing this? And because of that, autistic people need like the foundational learning.
Yeah.
The things that I learn, I need to know every component, the whys, why nots, hows, because if I don't, it's not gonna make sense to me.
Mhm.
I have to know every single thing. So we dig and
Yeah.
dig down to the bottom,
Yeah.
or to the abyss.
Right.
Like, and that's how and then it stores so much more in my brain because I'm so hyper fixated on it versus the neurotypical person who's going to study this, whatever. And he's like, okay, I got the gist. I'm pretty sure I can do this, but there's certain stuff. And also you haven't taken the time. Your brain hasn't locked in enough either. The hyperfixation portion, that's like when someone that's neurotypical has a hobby that they enjoy and they know every single thing about a car.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those people are autistic, but but sometimes they're not, but they just know so much about it, and that you're in that world. And so when you're autistic, you spend times in those worlds for so long, and it's programmed, and then you move on to some other hyperfixation, and you forget about that one, but it's programmed in your brain. I started listening to philosophy at night for like 4 years consecutively. I listened to Alan Watts every night before I went to sleep. Even if I was drunk, this is when I used to drink, but even if I was drunk as on someone's couch, it'd be on my phone on YouTube. Phone's on 23%.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
Like, it was because I was trying to subconsciously program my brain with more open things, and I think that works. There is science to that though.
Yeah.
But where was I? Oh yeah. So the multifacetedness. I mean, I also have just a really all over the place life. Like I lived with many different kinds of people of all cultures and classes and just stuff. I mean, my grandparents, they come from, Cajun, Creole life.
Where at? What state? Where at?
Louisiana.
Of course. Where at?
New Roads.
Okay.
Point Coupee Parish. Yeah, it's in the middle of absolute nowhere.
Yeah, I've never heard
All
of
to
it.
death.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's close to I-10.
Okay.
It was still in South Louisiana, no North Louisiana.
I got you.
No, we're not them.
I got you. I got
Totally different.
There's a difference.
You've lived in Louisiana.
There's a
You know,
difference. There's a
big difference. It's a facetious thing, but it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my pawpaw, he built power plants all over the world.
Okay.
Him and my grandmother, they got married. She actually had to leave Catholicism early. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. My great aunt is probably going like, why this happened, but just wild guess, maybe like a shotgun wedding or something.
That's good.
But she had to leave Catholicism to go to Methodist because my grandfather was Methodist, so you get pregnant.
Yeah.
You can't just like convert to Catholicism. So anyway, he had a degree from LSU, and he ended up being over power plants all over the world. So she leaves. My grandmother's from Morganza, Louisiana.
Okay.
And she grew up in the Great Depression.
Right.
With like 12 other, it's like 12 kids in the house. And she raised damn near every single one of them. So like my grandmother was like, my grandparents were they were so freaking cool. I'm so happy that I come from them.
Yeah.
But because they were just so well-rounded, and they lived in like Egypt, Venezuela, Jamaica,
Okay.
all over the United States. And so we have like stuff from all over, like the
Right.
bazaar in Egypt. We have like a lot of like brass and like really cool, like they didn't bring back bullshit when they went to places. Like they
Right.
brought back actual cool stuff. Like I have this little chair from Venezuela. It's like got alpaca fur on it, and it
Right.
was built by these little kids in Venezuela.
That's cool.
I still have it. And my papa, he went to go take it. He was trying to get a hard hat made right over by the bazaar, and so he asked this guy, and the guy was like, he didn't know what a hard hat was, so he took it to him and he showed him. He was like, come back in 2 weeks. So papa comes back. He's got a brass hard hat
Oh my God.
that he has etched hieroglyphics in our last name, which is Hebert, which is spelled like Hebert, but it's
Yeah.
like Hebert.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
French.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just cool stuff.
That's awesome.
It's super cool stuff.
It
We
is.
just, and then like I said, I bounced around. I lived different lifestyles too. Lifestyles that you wouldn't believe me if I told you, and I've also just, oh man, it's just so much stuff. I've just been everywhere, all over the place. There was this movie in the 90s called North with Elijah Wood in it.
Okay.
And Bruce Willis was in it too. Like it was called North, and North leaves his parents because he's just not feeling it. And North goes and he travels from like family to family, and they're all different. Like Reba McEntire's in it. Yeah,
I need to watch it.
it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's called North. It's so underrated, but it's a thing.
I got you. Well,
Um,
let's tell me this. I've got one, maybe two more questions for you, and then I'll let you off the hot seat for today. All right. So, what is now?
I said enough.
You've had to have this thought. What is your message on TikTok? What do you want people that they're following you, they see you, they hear you? What do you want them to hear?
It's okay to be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're gonna be weird, be confident about it, man.
Right.
Like it's all right. Like you don't gotta be normal. Being normal is boring, and like just be gross and weird, and like just be fun. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be out here just trying to be picture perfect. It's
Right.
like what a boring life, man. What a drag. Like I would just rather be just funny and interesting and say the things that people think, because I already do say the things
Right.
that people think. They just
Right.
don't say them, and I'll describe stuff in detail
Yeah.
that you don't even think about, but you know that you do that. That's a total ADHD moment. I'm so sorry about that.
No, that's cool.
But it's all right to be weird. Also, like it's nice to let people know just a little bit about the neurodivergent parts or
Well,
the EDS parts.
you take ownership of a lot of things, Miss Erin. Where did that come from?
Ownership.
Yeah, where did you is that a trait from?
Like just owning my.
Yeah, just
My
hey, this is my life. It's almost like I'm sitting here going, okay. It's like she's got a good grasp, and you may say you're not, but okay. But I see organization, and I see that you're going to have this much time for these different things, and you're going to really focus when you need to focus, and when you're not, you can chill, right?
I've never heard Erin and organized in the same
Exactly,
conversation
but
unless it's unorganized.
But that's what I'm saying. But to me, I'm sitting back going, when people get to a level of maturity that you've gotten to,
Mhm.
and they understand this is who I am. This is how God created me. This is what I do.
How did I get there?
And it's like
I'm gonna be
you accept
honest.
it. Yeah.
I got through psychedelics and talking to God on
Yeah.
psychedelics.
Yeah.
So because that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's a thing. You lay down, you take 5 grams, and you chill out and close your eyes, and you will talk to God.
Mhm.
Like you just have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Like I swear, it's insane. And whatever that and it's all the same thing. Like it's all that inside voice, the you behind the you. It's all the same thing. It's all the same light source. It's God, man. It's everywhere. It's in everything all the time. It's not just some like dude in the sky. It's like in all of existence. So that's knowing and being able to see when what I've been shown and told in my mind and in my in my heart, like that's how I've accepted it. Because like I said, it shuts down that default mode network. It brings your brain to the most childlike state possible that they know about. Like, so, because like I said, strips the conditioning away. So you have a clean slate to work with.
Yeah.
And that's why the neuroplasticity is so, great when, that aspect is so great when it comes to psilocybin, because now you have the room to make your brain different. Now you have a new chance, now you can make, but that comes from practicing.
Yeah.
You're not going to get fixed just from doing them.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Right.
That's a huge misconception. There's this little like meme on Reddit that's like this little mushroom right here, and a stick figure. He's like poking it with a stick.
Yeah.
He's like, fix me. It doesn't work
Right.
like that. You have to do the work too. It's like it walks into your house. And a lot of people have different size houses and many different types of rooms. And some rooms you've never even been in. Some rooms you didn't know existed. You just shove stuff in some rooms. It's all dirty.
Right.
Mushroom comes in there with all the supplies. And it's like, hey, I'm going to be staying here for a while. We need to go clean.
Yeah.
And, come on, get up. I'll show you it's not as hard as you think.
Right.
You just have to let go and trust me. And then when it's so hot. I know.
It is getting warm.
But it's just you have to trust it, and it'll go in and it'll help you clean, and it'll help show you. And it's not gonna just clean if you're not willing to help it too,
Yeah.
But it's always there to help you, never hurt you. And it just gets you more connected with that inner connection.
Yeah.
And that inner connection brings you connected to everyone else, So it's like you think like, okay, I'm gonna take an analogy from someone. I'm going to try to like not butcher this, but this guy named Duncan Trussell, he has this philosophy about dog shit. And so he's like, if you have dog shit on your shoe and you walk around and you think the whole world just like is full of dog shit, because like then dog shit must be on every single surface, then you're going to be in hell. But if you just look at your shoe and like, oh, it's just dog shit on my shoe, and you just wipe it off and you just go about your day, it's not going to seem as bad. And so when you are around tracking the same shit that you are, and you're perpetuating that onto others, that it's not going to do anything for you, but make your life shitty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but if you get into yourself, one time I was on mushrooms and I heard the way to heal the world is to heal yourself. And when you heal yourself and you're around others, even just being around other people will help them be like either start on that journey, or you'll drop little seeds that become flowers and people you don't even know.
Yep.
And so, that's how you heal the world, because those people get healed and then they go and they do the same thing to other people, and it's a chain reaction, and that's how you heal the world. You know what I'm saying?
That's the message that comes out at your TikTok. That's what you're telling everybody. You're helping 800,000 people. I'm helping like 10,000, okay? There's a little difference in the flow.
No, not true. I disagree, because here's the thing about helping people. You never know what plant that like I said, the seeds. You could have spread a garden and somebody started that with just one seed of word, and then they go and then they spread that throughout their entire life. You could have said a quote to somebody, look, that is yours. Or like Brian said this one time to me, and that helped them. And then maybe when someone's going through the same shit show that they were, that you gave that dude advice for, they can give that person the same advice. So they're passing on your messages. So yes, you help more than 10,000 people. More than 10,000 people hear you. And, it's just always going to be like that.
And I'm going to have you start coming by every Tuesday and telling me that, okay? Every Tuesday. Every Tuesday. You can come by and we'll have a conversation about how good I am. All right.
Like a little therapy.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching the show today. And if you got something from the show or you have questions for Erin, you can follow her on TikTok, and you can find there. We'll put the link here. If you send her a message, she don't reply. She's trying to get to you. Hit us up. If you've got a legitimate question, come through us. We'll make sure it gets to her if it's legit. If you're looking for a date, don't try to go through me. I'm not passing the message.
Say no eHarmony. Plenty of fish.
We're not swiping on this. We're trying to help people.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, but guys, thank you so much for watching Podcast on Wheels.